Variables in research is really interesting, and we have two types. They are called dependent and independent variables. So after this presentation you should be able to tell me what a dependent variable is and what an independent variable is when you're doing a research study. Okay, so let's start with the dependent variable. It's the result variable. It represents the measure that reflects the outcome of a research study. So we are measuring something, and the dependent variable is that measure. It's measured to see if the independent variable had effect. Okay, so we have something called independent variable that we tweak. We do something with the independent variable, and then the dependent variable may change. So for example, if you are producing boxes in a factory, number of boxes that you get out of the factory per day is a dependent variable. An independent variable may be to change one machine in order to create more boxes or to give the workers more salary. So dependent variable, okay, where is them? Here's the drawing. Dependent variable, number of boxes you get out of the factory. Maybe you get 4, 5 boxes. How will you get more boxes? Well, you increase salary to the employees. So independent variable, think of salary. Dependent variable, think of number of boxes that the factory can produce. Okay. Dependent variable, result variable, number of boxes. Represent the measures that reflects the outcome of a research study. Is measured to see the independent variable had effect. So independent variable is called a factor variable. So it's a factor that we change. The variable that is manipulated to examine its impact on the dependent variable. Okay, we have something called factorial design. Factorial design is used in an experiment that includes more than one independent variable. Then we have factorial design. So let's say that in our study that we create boxes in a factory. Here the factory, it creates boxes, and we give the factory workers money. But we also change the method they produce boxes. We have new machines for them. These are the machines. We create the machines. So we have two variables. This is 1 and 2 variables. So we have this variable, we have this variable. Then and if we have more than these, maybe we do something with the culture, maybe we do other things. Then we need factors. We take the variables and we add factors for them. So one factor may be the human side. Example, geography, age, gender. Dependent and independent variable, test yourself. Okay, so let's do a test. A professor does a research on a new dieting drink on a group of 20 overweight people. The professor weights the people before the experiment and after 2 weeks in order to check their weight. What is the independent variable? What are the levels of independent variable? So here, okay. Let's think now. Independent. This is something we change. What are we changing here? Well, we have a new dieting drink on a group of 20 overweight people. The professor weights the people before the experiment and after 2 weeks in order to check their weight. What are we changing? We are giving them a new diet drink. This is what we are doing. The dieting drink. This is our independent variable. What is a dependent variable? This is the second question. Dependent, it's what we measure. What are we measuring here? A professor does a research on a new dieting drink of a group of 20 overweight people. The professor weights. So we are weighing. This is our measurement. It's a weight. Before the experiment, after 2 weeks in order to check their weight. So it's the weight. We are weighing them, so this is the dependent variable. Okay. The independent variable are the variables that the researcher has control over. It's manipulated by the researcher. The independent variable here is drinking diet fuel at bedtime. As I said, we are doing some changes. We are giving them some drink at bedtime. And we have two levels of independent variables, before and after. So we're weighing them before and we weigh them after. So there are two levels. Furthermore, the researcher could have more levels of independent variables if she would have a control group of people who didn't get diet fuel. Then she would have two independent variables, experimental and control group. So we can have even more independent variables. It is what we have control over. Okay, dependent variable, we know this. Here it is the weight. And this is it. You now know what the dependent variable is. You know what the independent variable is. The dependent, it's what we measure. The independent is what we manipulate. And the factorial design, you know that one also now. Factorial design is used in experiment that includes more than one independent variable. So we have more things, a lot of independent variables, so we need to factor them. We take a group of variables and we factor them to something. So this is the factorial design.